Why I quit drinking. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to talk about why I finally decided to quit drinking. The short version, I was tired of feeling like shit. I started drinking when I was about 15, 16 years old. Hard to say, don't really remember, go figure. But I went way too hard for way too long. And it took me 20 years to realize what drinking was doing to me. Better late than never, I guess. But looking back, I can't believe how long it took me to come to the realization to what drinking was doing to me. It was affecting all areas of my life negatively. And over the past 2 decades, there's been many, many times that I told myself, I need to quit drinking or I'm never drinking again. But to be honest, that was most likely because I was super hungover and felt like shit. But as soon as I was feeling somewhat normal again, I was back at it, putting them down. As I got older, maybe some of you guys can relate to this, but the hangovers, they hit different. When you're in high school and the first part of college, hangovers weren't even a thing. As you get older, you try to keep the pace you did when you were younger, and the hangovers were just terrible. They would last a few days, maybe even a week. And like I said, it was affecting all areas of my life, and I started to question what I was doing. And I thought, what's one thing that can improve all areas of my life? Or what's one thing I can do or not do that can improve my life? And the obvious answer was drinking. It was the easy conclusion to come to, but it wasn't so easy kind of coming to terms with it. Drinking has been a huge part of my life for the better half of 2 decades, like I said. And I remember the weekend that I decided to quit for good. And I've told myself this so many times before, this is the last time I'm drinking, this is the last time I'm drinking, and it never stuck. But this weekend was different. And I didn't even really drink that much that weekend. I was in my hometown at a yearly festival they have, and seeing a lot of friends I grew up with, and just having beers. And I didn't think it was anything too crazy, but I remember waking up that Sunday and just feeling absolutely terrible. And for whatever reason, that was kind of the last straw. And I told myself, like I did many times, I'm done drinking. And I made it a few days, and the following Tuesday, I was golfing with a buddy, and I remember he's like, "Oh, you went to lunch." He's like, "You want a beer?" Sure. And as I'm drinking the beer, I'm just like, "Dude, what are you doing? Like you said you weren't gonna drink anymore." And for whatever reason, and I've had this conversation many times in my head, it hit different. And June 7th, 2022 was the last time I had a beer. Now I'm going to go over the reasons that led up to that. Like I said, there are many. Some of them are pretty obvious, some of them maybe not so much. But the first and probably the most obvious reasons to quit, or that I quit, was to improve my physical health. Like I mentioned earlier, the hangovers were just unbearable. And it's because I was drinking like I was a sophomore in college, but about, I don't know, 15 years older. And like I said, the hangovers, they weren't just like, oh, a morning. They were all day, couple days, even sometimes a week until I felt normally physically. And over the past few years, I've become more health conscious. I started to work out more, lift weights, do yoga. I'm getting into meditation. I'm more conscious about what I put into my body, what I eat, what I drink, and alcohol just doesn't feed any of those areas of my life. You can't be hungover and go to the gym. I mean, you can, but it's kind of pointless. Trying to do hot yoga hungover, I don't know if any of you guys have tried that, but it's not doable in a 90, 95 degree room, just sweating out all the booze. It's terrible. Would not recommend it. Not to mention the long-term effects alcohol can have on you, on your appearance. It speeds up the aging process, the risk of problematic issues with your organs, the risk of liver disease, cirrhosis of the liver, even liver cancer, kidney failure. I haven't experienced any of that, but if I continued on the path I was, that's certainly a possibility, and that's just something that's not okay with me. Also, weight management. I've never had a problem with my weight per se, but as soon as I quit drinking, I lost maybe 5 to 10 pounds, especially in the lower belly area, your pooch. Between your belly button and your waist, I mean, it was gone. And that was kind of surprising. Just that I wasn't trying to do that, but it was just gone. Better sleep. When you go through the weekend and you're partying and you're trying to catch up through the sleep throughout the week, it just throws everything off. Now that I don't drink, I'm sleeping better, I'm sleeping harder, I'm sleeping longer, waking up rested, and just starting the day off right. Then there's the mental and emotional well-being. When you're constantly battling your hangover and maybe bad decisions you're making, there's always a certain level of like anxiety or depression. And I was just tired of being in that state of mind, just the mental fogginess, I guess. You're never really quite in your peak state of mind to make good decisions, concentrate, just overall brain health. There's also improving my relationships, most importantly, my relationship with myself, my relationship with my wife, my parents, my family, and my friends. And I don't think any of those relationships were necessarily bad, but, being present for myself is super important. Being present for my wife is super important. And, one thing that comes to mind, I remember we were in Costa Rica, my wife and I, at my parents' house, and we were meeting with our wedding planner at the time. And the night before, I drank a lot. I don't know how much, but I remember my wife telling me, hey, we have our meeting with our wedding planner tomorrow. Like, I want you to be present. And I heard her, but I didn't hear her, right? And I felt awful the next day. And being hungover in a tropical environment, humidity, it's hot. I remember sitting with the wedding planner, and I'm just so zoned out. She's going over options, and I genuinely wanted to be there and help and make decisions because I cared. It was our wedding, and it was super important to me. And I was just sitting there like a zombie, just staring out into the jungle, just get me out of here. So miserable, so dehydrated. And I know my wife wasn't happy with me. I wasn't happy with myself. And this is the biggest day of our life, and I chose to drink over being there to plan our wedding. And that was one of the moments that's I got to make a change. And of course, I didn't quit then. I kept drinking. But that was one of those moments that's man, you really need to get it together. And then there's, having more meaningful social interactions with your family and your friends. Engaging in more meaningful, authentic social interactions without the influence of alcohol. And that's hard to do because alcohol is everywhere. It's at every event. And so at first it feels weird to be in those moments without a drink in your hand because there's always a drink in my hand. Sometimes two. So I wanted to have more meaningful interactions, have actual conversations about life, our dreams, our goals, our visions, and not just the same old BS that I always talk about at parties or whatever, I wanted more substance. And of course, one of the biggest ones is the financial benefits of quitting drinking. Drinking costs a lot of money, especially the way I was doing it. And so quitting could lead to a lot of money you save. I mean, I would spend, I would say $1,000, maybe $2,000 a month, maybe in my peak, drinking, partying. I've been to tons of concerts, a lot of festivals, and those add up. I think I've been to maybe over 20 3-day music festivals. Those festivals you could easily spend 1,000 in a weekend. So do the math. I bet over the last 2 decades I've spent over 6 figures easily on drinking and partying. So that was a big factor too. Imagine what you could do with an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month. How about my overall just productivity in life, in the workplace, at home? You know, it's tough really excelling in any career when half the week you're battling your hangover. You know, laying in bed off and on from Sunday to Wednesday or Thursday. You maybe have 2 productive days where you feel like a real human, Thursday and Friday, and then Friday hits and it's time to do it all over again, right? You're slacking in work, you're slacking at home, working on projects, home improvement stuff. It wasn't working. There were so many times that I would show up to work hungover, maybe even still drunk, and just be completely worthless. I might as well not even show up. And a lot of times I didn't show up. What a coworker, huh? Just wild, the things that I thought were okay getting away with. Personal growth was also a huge reason why I decided to quit drinking. Maybe it's one of the biggest, for sure. You know, I wanted to gain a deeper understanding of myself, of my goals, what truly makes me happy outside of alcohol. You know, and finding out exactly what I'm capable of without alcohol. It's held me back for so long, and I didn't even realize it. I'd consider myself like moderately successful, but I can't help but think like what could have been if I didn't drink so much. But that's in the past. There's nothing I could do about it now. All I can do is concentrate on the future and move forward. I've been seeing what I'm actually capable of without alcohol standing in my way, setting and achieving new goals without the hindrance of drinking. I'm building self-confidence by overcoming my dependency on alcohol. I'm working on overcoming my negative self-talk, which has been huge. You know, I've had many conversations with myself about drinking, and they've all kind of had a negative tone. And in many ways, that helped me overcome drinking. But the process was a lot more difficult because I was so hard on myself. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. And, you know, you'll hear me say in videos, be kind to yourself. I wish I was kinder to myself as I was going through this. I don't know how I would have, or if I would have quit sooner. Hard to say. But I think the journey would have been a lot easier. But again, there's nothing I could do about that now. All I can do is be kind to myself moving forward. And then there are the legal ramifications of drinking. And I've had a few run-ins with the law because of drinking. And I laugh because I look back and just think how stupid I was. The first run-in was actually my first day in college, first 4 hours. And I remember getting dropped off at the dorms, and we were unpacking all my stuff in the dorms. My parents were there, and my mom leaves the room, and my dad sits there. I think one or maybe two of my other roommates were there, and my dad kind of has this look on his face, and he's like, all right. You know, he was going to give me the talk. And he's like, all right. I'm going to tell you 2 things. Pass all your classes and don't call me from jail. And when he's telling me this, I'm thinking in my head, like, really? That's it? That's easy. Easy. So it was a long day. They were going to stay in a hotel, and then we were going to get breakfast in the morning. And I wasn't even going to do anything. Like, I was tired. I was about to go to bed, and a friend calls me from high school. She's in Chico. Rhett, I'm in Chico. Like, let's party. And of course, I'm going to say no. Sure. So we're downtown in the main intersection, and like an idiot, I obviously wasn't thinking. I'm just walking around. I'm 17. I was young for my grade, and I'm just walking around with a 12 pack, and I'm just standing there on the corner, and I feel this hand grab my shoulder. I knew right away that it was a cop, and for an instant, I thought about running, but I didn't for whatever reason. Probably a good idea. And, I guess I was lucky that I was 17 and not 18, because I think they would have taken me to jail. And so they call my dad and tell him what happened, and I'm just like, God, I can't believe this. They're going to take me out of college and all this. So next morning, they pick me up, and I'm just like, dude, I'm going to get grilled. And my dad's like, why are you so sad? I'm like, well, He's like, what? I'm like, well, they called you last night, the cops. And I told him what happened. He's like, that was real? Are you kidding me? And he starts going off. He thought it was one of my friends, like, pranking him. And I got an MIP, which is a minor in possession of alcohol. First day of college, first couple hours that I'm out on my own, and I already blew it. So I got that MIP. I got another MIP. I went to the drunk tank twice for sure, possibly 3 times. And I got a DUI after college, which I beat in court. I blew a .09. But still, it's a DUI. I fought it in court. They dropped the charges. And I'll talk about more of these legal problems in another video, but just all the time, the effort, the money that goes into fighting all this stuff, it's just, for what? For nothing. And the final reason, which is also very important to me, is my spiritual growth. As I've mentioned, I'm working on being the best person I can be mentally, physically, and spiritually. Like I mentioned earlier, been getting into meditation, yoga, mind-body connection, plant medicine, how the universe works. And you really need to have a clear mind when, studying these concepts. And that's been a big part of my life over the last 5 years, especially in the last 2. And alcohol just doesn't fit in that realm. And it's actually, my spirituality has helped me quit alcohol, stay away from it. And I'm very thankful for that. So those are the reasons that I decided to quit drinking alcohol. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I never thought that I would be making YouTube videos, but here we are. And honestly, it's tough to sit here in front of the camera and talk about these things with you. My insecurities, my vulnerabilities, for you to see, for the whole world to see. But I believe sharing my experiences, my struggles, can help others walk away from alcohol. And I said it in my last video, for those of you who don't know me, I did drink way too much. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. And those who drank with me would probably agree. So I'll gladly face my fears of posting these videos in hopes that it'll help others out there struggling with alcohol. So please like, subscribe, and share. Be kind to yourself. And I'll see you on the next video.